Hi there, you're at the Uniswap Wyckoff technical analysis session, and we'll quickly look at how Uniswap is performing after this week's drop, because it has fallen through the upward trend support line. So let's quickly take a look. Here we're at the weekly chart of Uniswap, and this dashed line is the line that I just mentioned, this upward support line that started since end of June, around June 23rd. As of now, the price has fallen outside of the line, but we still have about 3 days of time for this to climb back. So it's too early to declare defeat for the bulls, because the game is still going on for this week. So last week I put in these few tags over here and said potentially the buying climax is still heading towards, the price is still heading towards the buying climax if these candlesticks remains on the this upward trend support line, and 35% the PSY continues, which it still is, and returning to the green is of a lower possibility. And indeed, when the price dropped, there's still a bit of distance from the green, and it already rebounded upwards. So the green key level is around $9. As of now, the battle is still going on between the bulls and the bears. Even though the price drop this week is more than last week, the volume itself is actually more or less the same, unless very crazy things happen in the remaining 2 days and 21 hours. So hopefully that does not happen. So that's only scenario one that I have already shared last week. There's a second scenario that I'm seeing if this is really a very disappointing distribution cycle. Why and how? So let's say the PSY is still the same, but then the PSY isn't as high at that level. Let's say it is just around here, and then the buying climax was already there back in late July. What happened in the last week of July was an automatic reaction. Eventually, middle of this month, a second test happened, and now the price is coming down for maybe a sign of weakness. It's not definite yet, like I just explained earlier. This week's candlestick is still being developed. There's still time for the bulls and bears to give their last push near the end of the week. So the second scenario, the yellow scenario, is a pessimistic scenario where the buying climax is really very low compared to the previous two back in December and March last year. Hopefully that's not the case. This pessimistic case, hopefully it's not true and it still follows the blue scenario. But we never know. But the thing is, I have to tell you what I can see and not to eliminate any possibility. So going into the daily chart, previously we say, okay, is the price coming down for a sign of weakness, or is it going to show us an upthrust of the distribution? This time in the daily time frame, even it's a more frequent moving time window, the only thing happened was LPSY. Nothing more than that. It hasn't gone to the upthrust of the distribution yet, neither is reaching the sign of weakness level. However, the thing is, over the past 3 days, actually including today, that's 4 days, the price has been trying to climb back to above this yellow trend support line. So that's why it's very key when I explain the weekly time frame. It better returns to close above this line, because if it doesn't, if it confirms in the daily that it's going to come down, then it is really going to head to the sign of weakness before the next rise would happen. So if you are bullish, and if it really comes down, there's still a chance that after finding support at the green key level around $9 over there, it may eventually come up and test the blue levels, key levels. But this yellow dashed line will become the resistance line in that case, so it may take a longer while for it to break through the sky blue line up there, and eventually maybe showing us this upwards of the distribution. So that's still bullish, but not as optimistic as it climbs back to the above the yellow dash line. And like I shared before, this triangle over here, beginning of September, a breakout would happen, and I hope it is not what it is that we're seeing now, what happened in the past 4-5 days. I hope it really comes back to this triangle and then eventually break to the upside, because that's an ascending triangle. That's just a wishful thinking for the bulls. So I've explained both the less optimistic scenario for the bulls as well as more optimistic scenario for the bulls. As for the bears, if it really comes down to show us a sign of weakness, combining the weekly charts, I'm thinking if it really comes further down to the yellow 7.4, maybe it's already starting accumulation, a new accumulation. But that's a really pessimistic scenario, because that basically has assumed the yellow scenario is valid. But as of now, we don't know yet, because the selling volume this week and last week isn't that crazy. So rather, like after getting a rejection from the $12 key level, the blue level, from here, that selling volume was pretty big, pushing the price down. However, the selling towards the downside lower than basically $10 isn't very crazy. If you look at the daily, the buy-in yesterday was actually quite positive. If we look across the past 14 days, this volume has been higher, and the selling today is very low as well. Well, today just started, there's still 20 hours left. I won't declare anything too early, so continue to observe how the volume changes. If it changes to the upside and with a better volume, that may mean the possibility of getting back into this triangle is getting bigger. So that would be a positive case for the bulls. And one last thing here, if I draw a line or two lines, if it really continues over here, what would happen is we are going to see a pennant. So if the price doesn't go up to where the yellow dashed line is, but instead continue to trade sideways within this pennant, this white angle that I've just drawn, the tip of it is still around first week of September. So eventually the price has to break outside, and I've shared, I think in just an earlier session for Polkadot, that there are two groups of theory for a pennant. One group says a pennant doesn't indicate when the price breaks out which side is heading. The other group says if the price enters a pennant from down up, eventually the price will go up. So that means by the beginning of September, a breakout will happen and the likelihood goes to the upside. I'm not sure which group is correct, because I've seen both. So maybe the guys that are saying it doesn't decide which side it goes is more accurate, but this time let's see what would happen when we get to the time. It's only around 12 days left for us to see that. I'll keep these lines over here. I'll let them just stay in the daily time frame. because that's clearer over here compared to like messing up what we are talking about in the weekly time frame. So while we are waiting for this to evolve to get back to maybe the support line, hopefully good things happen and it's not a disappointing yellow scenario. Hopefully it will still show us some kind of higher price level buying climax.